Hi, and welcome to A Couple of Average Joe show. I am Mike.
I am Joe.
And this is Compelled. So do you know who Peggy Siegal is?
I have a feeling I'm about to.
All right. So one of our last podcasts or whatever, one of our last shows that we did about Jeffrey Epstein, I had questioned about who the person was that set up these extravagant Hollywood parties.
Yeah.
And one of our listeners said it's probably Peggy Siegal. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. So I started looking at Peggy Siegal. Peggy Siegal is a publicist. For years, she was an essential New York party host and omnipresent player in the annual Oscar swirl. Then, her past relationship with Jeffrey Epstein came to light. Will she ever live it down? Vanity Fair.
They have to always add that little dramatic flair to it, don't they?
Yeah. Peggy is in her 70s. She's like 72. Mm-hmm. She looks like she's 45. She's had a lot of surgery.
Yeah, a lot of sharing.
I don't know what that means.
Share.
Oh, share.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now I get it. Good one. And I don't feel bad for her. Just listen to the way that this fucking story is written.
Okay.
So I'll just go through a little bit. So what we're doing is we're going to be following like this Epstein thing, and we're going to change it up a little bit. So, you know, who this person is and their affiliation with Epstein.
Yeah.
So who is Peggy Siegal? Well, we know she's a celebrity publicist. Peggy Siegal was on a yacht off the coast of Capri. Oh my God. When her life fell apart.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
She'd flown from London to Italy in early July to attend a dinner Larry Gagosian was hosting at Villa Malaparte, the cliff-top mansion overlooking the Gulf of Salerno, where Jean-Luc Godard filmed Contempt. Do you feel bad for her yet?
No, sounds like she's living it up.
Siegal, a Manhattan-based movie publicist and professional host to the New York establishment, was to stay on a friend's Feadship until the party. I don't know what Feadship is, but I'm assuming it's the same thing. It was similar to a yacht. Then she would go to another friend's home in the south of France to celebrate her 72nd birthday. Oh. Then back home, then to the Hamptons, and then to the Greek island of Patmos. At summer's end, she would attend film festivals in Telluride and Toronto. For decades, Peggy Siegal, the Peggy Siegal Company, has been a linchpin in successful Oscar campaigns. Her exclusive screenings and the buzz and bonhomie they inspire are crucial for pushing members of the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Science to vote for films she promotes. Essentially, isn't that a payoff?
Yeah, that doesn't sound very subjective, or is it objective? Yeah, it doesn't sound like the Oscars are very objective, are they?
No. When Oscar season is at its height, Siegal has been known to host 5 events per week. The day of Siegal's flight from London to Naples, a New York Times reporter, Jodi Cantor, contacted her about disgraced financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. 4 days prior, federal agents had arrested Epstein on sex trafficking charges when his private jet landed in Teterboro Airport, and for decades, Epstein had cut a shadowy figure in New York and Palm Beach with his mysterious fortune and connections to power players including Clinton, Gates, and Les Wexner. I want to reiterate, I want to reread this. For decades, Epstein had cut a shadowy figure in New York and Palm Beach. No, he didn't. Did not. He didn't cut a shadowy figure at all. He was very well known and very well respected in those circles.
Yeah, it's kind of like saying like Donald Trump's a shadowy figure in his parties, which could be farther from the truth, right?
Right.
Because if he's there, he's going to let you know he's there.
Yeah, he cut a shadowy figure. He was friends with fucking Donald Trump. There's pictures of him everywhere.
Yeah.
At these parties. He didn't cut a shadowy figure for anything.
Yeah, he's like fucking Tom from MySpace.
Yeah, stop fucking making this guy a legend when he's not a legend or legendary, a legendary figure like
Don Quixote?
Slender Man.
Oh, yeah.
Just there in the shadows.
The chupacabra.
Lurking.
Well, it kind of is like a chupacabra.
Yeah.
But, more in person.
In November of 2018, the Miami Herald's Julie K. Brown had drop-kicked Epstein back into public consciousness with a re-examination of his 2008 guilty plea for soliciting sex from a minor and the sweetheart deal Miami prosecutors gave him, despite evidence that he molested dozens of teenage girls. Siegal knew Epstein. He attended a handful of her events. They traded favors, and in 2010, she hosted a dinner in his home. By trading favors, it's party this, I'll get you set up with these people over here.
Yeah, tit for tat kind of shit, yeah.
Yeah, quid pro quo.
Have my people talk to your people.
Tit for tit. And in 2010, she hosted a dinner in his home and to honor Epstein's friend, Prince Andrew. Okay. The prince would later discuss the party in the disastrous BBC interview that preceded his step back from official duties in November. Siegal also knew what it meant that Cantor, who with colleague Megan Twohey won a 2018 Pulitzer for reporting on Harvey Weinstein's alleged predations, wanted to speak. That sentence makes no sense. Let me just read it again. Siegal also knew what it meant that Cantor, who with colleague Megan Twohey won a 2018 Pulitzer for reporting on Weinstein's alleged predations, wanted to speak. That's just word for word.
Yeah,
why couldn't they just say Cantor? Well, they had to put in the Harvey Weinstein thing.
Yeah.
They had to. I mean, they purposely put that in there to relate Harvey Weinstein
it's more juicy.
Fucking Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense. All you had to say was Cantor wanted to speak with Siegal. It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? Cantor wanted to speak with... They should have just removed that entire fucking line. That's what editing's for. The FBI had raided Epstein's seven-story Manhattan townhouse and locked safe full of photos. Epstein's crimes had ignited into a full-blown frenzy that seemed to expose daily a fresh set of prominent figures with links to a wealthy predator. Well, that was in 2018, but I sure as shit know that back in 2008, being quote-unquote drop-kicked back into public consciousness, nobody knew what the fuck was going on in 2008.
No.
Nobody.
Except the people that were partying.
Nobody knew in 2008. Not one fucking news outlet reported on Jeffrey Epstein. I know because my wife at the time watched the news consistently and her parents watched the news consistently. So between the years of 2002 and 2009, when we were back and forth between Los Angeles and here.
And she worked at SAG.
Not once did I ever hear Epstein.
Yeah, she didn't bring him a check.
Siegal's ensuing fall may illustrate the extent of public disgust for the leeway Epstein enjoyed, or, depending on whom you ask, the moral expectations of post-Me Too Hollywood, or the velocity of media judgment, the perils of false friends, sexism, ageism, or how easy it is to dismiss notoriously dismissive people. No, that's not it. But we'll get into the meat of this story here in a second. Siegal consulted a friend who was a lawyer after the Times reached out. I felt very threatened as to why people were calling me when hundreds of people knew him, Siegal said when we met in the fall. The lawyer referred Siegal to Matt McKenna, a crisis PR specialist who once worked for Clinton. Soon after, Siegal briefly retained Libby Locke, a defamation attorney. McKenna advised Siegal to speak to Cantor for the article. There was no question that there was going to be reporting about Peggy, and I wanted the first foundational story to be in a paper of record, McKenna later told me. The article ran on the front page of the Sunday paper on July 14th.
Well, now that I know she's connected to the Clintons, I mean, that right there tells me that she's keeping her mouth shut because, they don't want to have a weird boat accident happen.
It made me look like a society lady, Siegal said. The article described her as one of the social guarantors who gave Epstein a veneer of respectability. He said he'd served his time and assured me that he changed his ways, which also quoted her saying Epstein in recent years was in complete denial. Siegal considered the article a disaster. I'm now being positioned on the front page of the New York Times, along with people who really knew him financially, socially, and possibly sexually. Well, you knew him because you set up parties for him. Hollywood's trade press came next, struggling to communicate with her stateside crisis team.
Different fucking world, man.
Siegal fell into what she classifies as an emotional spiral. I'm still in the friggin' hull of this boat. I go out for meals, but at the end of the day, I'm back in the hull of the boat. 1 week after the Times report, the Hollywood Reporter published an article on Siegal's symbiotic relationship with a sex offender. Anonymous former employees described gifts, favors, and an overheard speakerphone conversation between Siegal and Epstein. OMFG. Jeffrey Epstein, the reporter quoted a former employee's G-chat from July 2010. I don't know what G-chat is, but we'll figure it out. Google chat, I guess.
Maybe.
Epstein's last month under house arrest in Palm Beach. She's like, you're not dating anyone, right? And he's like, well, I am, but she's very young. And she's like, stop. And he's like. That's fine reporting there, everybody. Siegal told me she has no recollection of that conversation and characterizes the sources as disgruntled ex-employees competing for her business. You have no recollection. Like, you can't recall every fucking detail of every conversation you have with everybody. But I would think that if you're talking with Jeffrey Epstein, you would remember some of those conversations, like especially when after he got out of jail and he contacts you on speakerphone and you're talking to him on fucking speakerphone where everybody can overhear the conversation.
Yeah.
You're doing that on purpose to let everybody know that you know Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, come on. That's just a dumb power move.
Who would hire a publicist that forgets shit? Especially big people.
Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time at places. Okay, I got to cut this part out, but I hate when people put other people. I hate it when I'm talking to somebody and they put me on fucking speakerphone. Take me off speakerphone. I'm not going to talk to you until you take me off speakerphone.
Yeah, the only way I'd put you on speakerphone is if I'm by myself in like a car and I have to do it because I'm driving or something.
Right.
But it wouldn't be in a room full of people.
Right. And I understand that, I understand when you put me on speakerphone or if I put you on speakerphone,
yeah.
I'm by myself. It's a private conversation.
Yeah, there's certain etiquette when it comes to speakerphone. I don't normally do that.
People that put people on speakerphone in public places are fucking douchebags. She maintains that she never worked for Epstein. Of course. She never had a salary, never had a contract, that the only thing they exchanged were favors. Okay, so what? That doesn't mean that you didn't do stuff for him.
Yeah.
That just because you didn't quote unquote work for him doesn't mean that you didn't put together other things for him.
Who's this Jeffrey Epstein that you speak of?
I don't know anything. Well, it's in your fucking black book. I don't know what you're talking about. It's in your phone. I saw it. I have a fucking picture of it. I don't know what you're talking about. Wasn't me.
That was a bitchin'.
Siegal read the article at 4 a.m. I'm going, this can't be happening. This is my favorite part of the article. This is what it'd be like to go to your own funeral or to be a casualty of a war. I mean, if I had been in Nazi Germany, it could not have been worse.
Did she say that from her yacht?
She said, invoking ancestors who died in the Holocaust, I thought, oh my God, I'm on the train station. I'm getting on that train and I'm going to the camps.
To Dachau.
And this is exactly what came to mind. This is the kind of political, social, horrific nightmare that came to fruition. Life has come full circle. I've finally been attacked for nothing more than being Jewish.
The Hebrew nation needs to disassociate itself with this woman.
Or being a woman, or being at the wrong place at the wrong time. She literally made an analogy to Jeffrey Epstein and the fucking Jewish Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
Both of whom are Jewish.
That is a victim card being played if I've ever heard one.
Oh, it gets better.